Hi everybody, we're gonna play some Gungeon. Today's another Gungeon day. After that, I believe it was a slow train wreck in Isaac. Yesterday, I think that was the slow descent, where I just like couldn't recover. Oh man! So you got water right here. I just like maybe 30 minutes ago, maybe 40, just finished The Last of Us 2, the sequel to, oh my god, to the PlayStation 3 game The Last of Us End. And there's been a whole lot of like weird, kind of out of nowhere controversy about it. About The Last of Us 2 for, well, it's not out of nowhere, but it's like ridiculous as hell controversy about it. This is gonna be total spoilers, so if you have not played The Last of Us 2, I highly recommend you play through the entire game. And it is a long game. It is a longo belongo. It does not it keeps feeling like it's about to come to a conclusion, and then there's another area. They are not afraid to transport you to a new place, which is kind of crazy because like the way I think about it, at least, you know, you make all these assets, right? You make snowy assets for you to be in Snowville. You make you know, mountainous assets for the mountain zone. You make Seattle assets for Seattle. A lot of it takes place in Seattle, but when it jumped to Santa Barbara, I was just like, I was absolutely shocked. I did not expect the game to go to Santa Barbara and have like a full, you know, 3 chapters there. Or I don't really know how they're broken into chapters, but like to have a full, huge chunk of the game take place in California after most of it being in Washington. And like I felt like there were a couple of points that it would have been a natural conclusory point, but I'm glad it kept going on because the story is incredible. I know a lot of people are like, I don't like it. Abby's got big muscles and it's the end of the world. How can she have big muscles even though she lives at a football stadium and she has a gym with personal trainers right there, right next to her house? How could she possibly have big muscles? It's the post-apocalypse. No one could ever do anything to train themselves for close quarters combat. Which, like, I think the stuff with Abby is some of the best stuff in the game. Not because I think that she and Ellie are both very good, very well developed characters. I think that the way that they made the characters feel different when you're playing. You spend a lot of the game playing as Abby, like a whole lot, and it's and it's great how, like, not only do they have different like weapon loadouts or whatever, but they also have different strengths. Like Abby is about pure brawn. Like that's her whole thing. She can handle things head on, and Ellie is wiry and scrappy. They both can survive like devastating, catastrophic damage over and over and over, and they just are, you know, the ultimate survivors. They kind of got that Batman plot armor where they can survive anything because you gotta have the protagonist survive, which it's fine. That, I mean, like the thing that I'm gonna keep repeating in this discussion of the game is that all of this was established in Last of Us 1. A lot of the stuff was established in Last of Us 1. Okay, so Abby's strong and Ellie's scrappy. Joel, we'll just say it, Joel dies early on in The Last of Us Part 2. And that's the impetus for Ellie's journey. She goes on this crazy, freaking, nightmarish revenge quest because Abby, who you spend a lot of time playing as, killed Joel. Because Abby's dad was killed by Joel, who is the doctor from the first game who could have, you know, cured the genophage or whatever it's called, the cordyceps, by using Ellie's genetic material or whatever it is, you know, however you want to say it. By cutting her up, using her as things, she would have died, and humanity would have survived. But Joel didn't allow that because of his paternal affection for Ellie. So Joel's dead. Oh, baby. Joel's dead. Abby's on a, you know, hell or high water kind of like, everybody, I will kill everybody to get revenge on Joel. And it's kind of like, you know, the whole game, the game gets really gory, which again happened in Last of Us 1. It was a big part of Last of Us 1, was the game getting kind of over the top violent, because humanity is like, you know, humanity's barely keeping it together. There's a chance that anybody who doesn't die today will die tomorrow, and it's even more pronounced with more time passed. You know, it's like however many years since the events of the first Last of Us, and that is already, you know, 20 years after the old times, the old world. That's after, whoa, the cordyceps virus had already started. Whoa, that was weird. I'm getting these weird, like, light flashes from time to time. Not just this game. Oh god, almost just jumped right off. But, so, you know, as time goes on, some bits of society start to reestablish themselves, but with it comes further desperation. You know, people are hanging on even more tightly to what they have, because there's so many people out there now who have built armies, who have done everything to stake a claim and hold on to that claim, you know? And so the violence is pretty intense. The gruesome aspects of the game are pretty visceral. I had one of the strongest reactions I think I've ever had to in-game violence. Like, I played Doom, and you know, in Doom it's just like the violence is over the top and all-encompassing and all of that, but it's like, it's not cartoonish because it's rendered in very, very realistic amounts of gore, but it's like it's death metal. It's not a somber reflection on human suffering or whatever. It's just meant to be powerful and fast and brutal, and not at all something you reflect on. And you know, there's a bit of like insanity that the two are considered so different, but like the stuff you see, some of the stuff you see it's so accurate. I mean, I don't know. I haven't dealt with that kind of human devastation, but it feels real in a way. The suffering is not just like a guy gets his head pulled off and then you get blood spatter. It's like people are falling apart and they're still desperately, like hungrily fighting against their attacker, you know? Like they can't do anything else. All they have is this this desperate need to fend off whoever oh my god, why is it feeling so framey? God damn it. To fend off whoever already harmed them, or whoever they're trying to kill. And you know, the game is like, the fidelity of the graphics is so insane that it really makes it hard to not just like to feel every cut to identify with the suffering, and you know, that's the point. Someone, I think, compared it on like a Reddit comment thread or whatever to Cormac McCarthy's The Road, which very different focus. This is not they're both about like human violence and suffering during a desperate time, but this one is a lot more like emotional nuance, whereas The Road is just like humanity is the reason that that hell exists. We are the cause of all suffering, kind of thing. And you know, so I don't think that's a perfect analogy, but I think it's a very good way to think about like what it means for a story to lean heavily into violence to show suffering. Okay, and here, so I'm going to talk about a few of the things that I've received or read complaints out, and I know that it's a vocal minority, so it kind of sucks to even give them any more attention, because these are the people that are ruining other people's perspectives of the game by just saying, like, this sucks, it's unrealistic, whatever. There's the muscular Abby thing. There's the Joel died, my fictitious dad suffered, and that was a fucking terrible mistake. There's the gore is too much, and then there's like the length of the game is too long. Oh, and the final conclusion. So in the final fight between, okay, I'm gonna mention a couple things that the game does well, extremely well, before I focus in on this stuff that like crybabies have whined about. It is a long, methodical game. There is a lot of content. I kept thinking I was at the end, and it kept going, and I'm glad that it ended. I think I've already said that, but it was so right to do it. But there was a lot of moments that it could have like turned, you know, that things could have ended up being different. But I think that like one of the most amazing things they did with the game was was have you play both sides. You played as Predator and Prey. You played as these two essentially like superhumans, these two women who are just like, they're so focused on their mission, and they put their whole life into this mission of vengeance or whatever. They like it's all that they are. And dang, I don't like these weapons too much. And not only like there are two fights where you face the other character. There's one where you're controlling Abby, and there's one where you're controlling Ellie. And the great thing about it is like, so there's some games out there that that do this thing where they'll have you fight a challenging opponent, and then they need you to lose the fight, right? They need this for the story. The player character, let's say your name is Rex, for example, because this happened a ton in Xenoblade Chronicles 2. Let's say your name is Rex. You get into this fight, and the fight is difficult. It is not an easy fight. And eventually, oh fuck, scary. Eventually, you win the fight against this really, you know, powerful, surprising guy. And then a cutscene plays, and your characters are on the floor, beaten. They're like out of breath. They've lost. They've done everything they can, and they're just not capable enough. But what happened during the fight was you got the enemy's HP down to 0, or you know, at least low enough to take them out, whatever it was. Sometimes it's 0, sometimes they stop at 5% or whatever like that. But you're in a situation where you have won, and then a cutscene happens and you've lost, and it's fucking jarring, and it's stupid, and it defeats the whole point of you overcoming this conflict. So what they did in Last of Us 2 is, if you're playing as Abby and you're fighting Ellie, you know that Abby's gonna win that fight. Like, it's... I mean, not necessarily. Like, I died a bunch of times the first time I fought Ellie, because they actually used her abilities, the things that she is strong at. They used that to make her stronger. And, like, it's so fucking good to see, like, the skills that you develop playing as that character play out. Like, she's not just a great combatant, she's great in the ways that you had to play as her. She's fast and sneaky and sets traps and uses her bow and, like, you know, avoids full frontal combat whenever she can, to, like, emphasize her wiry kind of scrappiness. And it's like, it's so great to see that utilized in that way. And then you win the fight, and Abby fucking beats her down, because Abby won the fight with you at the controls. And then at the very, very end of the game, they have, you know, phase 2 of that fight or whatever, and you're playing as Ellie, and you win as Ellie because... Well, I think mostly because you start off with a knife, and mostly, and also because Ellie is, for the second time in her life, given up everything for vengeance. And the victory is hard fought, and it's close, and it's pathetic. Like, it's not... She doesn't win the way that superheroes win. She's barely holding on by the end. Wow. Maybe the stupidest thing I've done in this game in a long time. Just trying to keep freaking metronome going. Oh, come on, dude. Where the fuck is this, There's a room. Oh god. I almost missed the one that almost did me in. And it like, I don't know, I can't get over how good it is, how good the decision making by the team is. Like, it's not only just the most beautiful, most, like, it is better looking than any, you know, 4K game I played. I have it, I'm playing on the PlayStation. It does suck that it's 30 frames per second. Because there's so many moments where I'm like, man, if I could see this at a higher resolution, it would be, or a higher frame rate, or ultra wide, or whatever. Like, it would be like too jaw dropping to handle. You know, like, it is the most gorgeous game I've ever played. Heartbreak, like, no other justifications needed. It could only be improved by adding, you know, higher resolution and stuff like that, or higher frame rate and stuff like that. But already as is, it is just, it's so much. Keep it together. I don't know if the thing is loaded or not, but I gotta get these guys out of here. There we go. There we go. Oh, there we go. Reload, roll. Cool. It's a full reload for that one, huh? do this before I make any other decisions. The Patriot would be really good, but we're kind of like... We're set on boss summons. Man, I didn't take my allergy medicine. I am one itchy guy. Whoa. Hey, come on. I know this isn't the best boss weapon for this, but with Metronome, I thought perhaps. Let's buy another thing. We're not going to the rat. We're not going to get the Patriot. And we need to figure out what we're going to metronome on the next floor. Dude, everything is so jittery on this fucking computer. I'm thinking of taking out my second graphics card. Early, like taking it out before. I don't know, it'll lower my temps, it's like, it's so stupid that it'll be so beneficial to run with half power. I'm gonna see how this works, because I don't really have... Dude, how long does it take to charge this thing? Okay. Full charge is good. And I may as well use it. Wee! So right now, the full charge on this is pretty solid. I know it won't be forever because of... Well, I mean, it'll be exactly this much damage forever if I don't get hit, but the hope is that I'll find something better. We're gonna get chamber gun on this floor. I can feel it. It's just like standard shit with the way this game goes. And we're gonna get it too late for it to be useful. But anyway, okay, let's go back to The Last of Us. Let's go back to the storytelling. I think that The Last of Us has, and this is opinion, because it's not really quantifiable. I think it has the best storytelling of any narrative game I can think of in a long time. And I don't mean, you know, I think there are some stories I enjoyed more, but I definitely don't think that there are stories that are presented better. I think The Witcher has great stories and great moments, but it's kind of spread out over a lot of mini stories, a lot of mini tales, and because of that, it's not like worse or anything, but it's less focused. This is, you know, straight down the middle the entire way. It is Ellie and Abby's story. There are little things like the conflict between the wolves and the Seraphites that kind of feel like side stories, but they're still like so integral to world building that they don't function as side stories, more or less. Alright, and then when we get hit, we switch over to that one. You know, and it's not like there's quest markers telling you to go over here and talk to this person. You're just constantly going. I think that is just like by far like one of the most incredible things about the game. Its emotional resonance is like through the freaking roof. Ow, I can't believe I didn't get hit there. I cried at the ending, and I got very close to crying multiple other times. Damn! Bumped into him. That sucks. That's a shitty way to take damage there. All that stuff feels so so good. The gameplay is like, it took me a while to get good at it. Oh man, it sucks. You know, I was being too sneaky. I think in The Last of Us Part 1, you had to kind of be sneaky all the way. You had to commit to being sneaky, because once enemies found you, they didn't let up under any circumstance. In this one, there's a lot more like losing a tail, you know, losing someone trailing you, and then being able to go back into a stealth scenario. And so I started using movement a lot more. I started doing stuff like, once I got caught, like taking out whoever found me and then running off and diving into cover and waiting until they kind of lost my trail. And then like picking people off one at a time and going back and forth between the multiple different approaches. And I think that really opened up the gameplay for me in a very, very wonderful way. And I can't downplay how great it felt once you're like jumping through stealth, active combat, fleeing back into stealth. Like all of this stuff felt so different and amazing. And like Jackie just played through Last of Us 1, and I watched her play, and she, you know, she's kind of newer to games or whatever, but like I even remember how it kind of felt like once you got into a stealth segment, or once there was an area you kind of had to handle with stealth, that was your whole focus. Was once you were out of stealth, it was just a gunfight forever. There was no breaking it, turning it back into anything but an out-and-out gunfight. And maybe I didn't play it right, but it's certainly highlighted in this game that you can jump between the two. You can kind of lose your initial strategy and adapt. And it's so good. It's so good. The enemy types don't feel overwhelming, but they feel more varied than they did in The Last of Us Part 1. They, like, the stalkers that you can't see, that you can't... Oh man, I should have given that to another gun. That you can't, like, pick out early, were a great addition. You know, they basically are just as sneaky as Abby and Ellie. The two layers of like unlocking stuff and crafting things and all of that, like it felt so good to have that in the game, like with the two characters, that I would hate to go back. And I remember it feeling kind of similar in The Last of Us Part 1, where suddenly you're playing as Ellie and in the cannibal section, and like then you go back to fully controlling Joel. But that I think they really landed on something great with that section, and it's great to it's incredible the way they added that to it. They added that to it, but they added to that concept by having you play both sides of the story. It's like, it's one of those things that feels like could only happen in video games, you know? Where they did things like you go through an area as Abby that you've gone through already as Ellie, so you have some insight as to what's going on. It, like, by your own experience, you learn the secrets of this zone or whatever, you know? It's by your own hand that you're better off. So you have this weird kind of like gameplay reinforcing your kind of predatory nature if you're hunting down the other person for whatever reason. And it's like, and I don't mean for whatever reason, like I wasn't sure, but because depending on who you're playing as, it kind of changes. But I don't know, the gameplay imitating the duality of these two characters is just, it's so well done. It's very, very well done. The other complaint that I think a lot of people have comes from a general misunderstanding of what the kind of storytelling is that Naughty Dog excels in. So in Naughty Dog games, including The Last of Us Part 1, The Last of Us Part 2, Uncharted Drake's Fortune, or Uncharted 4, I guess, which I haven't played all the way through because I didn't own the game. But in those games, the player is not the protagonist. The player is controlling the protagonist, but the player is not the decision maker for the protagonist. The protagonist gets to make fucked up wrong decisions all the time, and that's one of the the staples of Naughty Dog storytelling is they're gonna have you play as a guy who does dumb things that anybody with decency in mind wouldn't necessarily do. Because it's their journey, it's their maturity. They have to suffer and make mistakes. They are not you. Abby gets to say some frustrating stuff. Ellie gets to make some boneheaded, seemingly selfish decisions. Because this is Abby's stories, not, I'm gonna try to think of an online handle, but they're all pretty gross. But this isn't you, the person holding the PlayStation controller that's playing. You're not choosing Commander Shepard's dialogue options. You're watching this shit unfold, and that lack of agency, I think, is problematic for some people, but it's so integral for the story. You have to see that, they are compelled to these acts, these horrific acts, because something in them is broken, and they don't know how to fix it. They all they know how to do is attack it. They're they're injured dogs, and everybody that comes by trying to help them is getting snarled at. And I think it's pretty obvious to anyone that really takes the time to think about it, but it's not obvious to people who just want to get upset that the character doesn't look like the way they want them to, or doesn't do the thing that they want them to do, and all of that. And it's endlessly frustrating to me to see some of the complaints. But again, I know that the people complaining are the vocal minority. They are not, you look at the reviews and stuff, and the sales and the stuff like that, and it's this game is crushing it. I really hope that it doesn't in any way influence Sony, that there are whining crybabies out there, because I would love a Last of Us 3, and I would love it to be told in the way The Last of Us 1 is told, where it's harsh, unsettling, viciousness is the law of the land, but it's not. I don't want it to be a choose your own adventure. I mean, those games already exist. The way that Naughty Dog tells its stories is not that. Plain and simple. It's not, and it shouldn't be that. You can get those experiences in BioWare games or Bethesda games or whatever, where you get to make every call, and they're role-playing games. You're not playing a role in this one. You're watching it happen, and you get to be a part of it. And I think that people really, really hate that. They can't understand that, the way this story exists needs Ellie to make bad decisions, because she's experiencing something, and she has a point of view that the player can't have. The player cannot feel her trauma. They've showed it, and I think they show it pretty powerfully, but we're always going to say, do the smart thing, stay with your family, blah blah blah, do what I would do in this situation, which is the sensible thing. But that's not this game, and it shouldn't be. And I respect it for not being that. I don't know. I've been getting pretty frustrated with the way a lot of people seem to think that this is, it should be their thing. And like I talked to Nate about it earlier today. I have a lot of disregard for fandom in general. Like, fans deciding that they own the property and they get to make the calls on how the game should be and yada yada yada. And it's pretty obvious why I feel my frustration with it, because I think a lot of like interesting titles have been wrongly attacked because of this strange sense of ownership. But beyond that, I don't know. I think this game does something incredible, and people hate that they didn't get to choose it. They didn't get to say, kill Abby. They didn't get to say, cut Dinah's throat or whatever. They got to watch it happen, and it didn't go out exactly as they wanted it to. And that's like a devastating misplay that I heard some people say, like, this is the way you split your fandom, by like having it focus on things and having characters make decisions that they wouldn't have made. And it's like, are you doing a fire out there? Oh, it's so wet here. But again, that's not the majority of people. I think that like all the complaints I heard have been pretty much nullified from my playthrough of it. And I remember when the game was when it first dropped, I saw on the XQ Cow whatever subreddit, which I don't know anything about the guy, and I don't plan on judging him. He said it was a bad game, he hated it, and what he did was day one played through all of it basically in one sitting without taking a break, and then said it's super shitty compared to the first one. It was like a 3 out of 10 compared. I think this is what he said. 3 out of 10 compared to the Last of Us Part 1. And I mean, that's a snap judgment based on someone rushing through a game that, like, I really loved how... I love how long the game is. And I love how much time I've given it to stop and think about it. Some of the reviews I've seen, this, like, spoiler-free reviews I looked at early on were like, this just seems like a carnival of violence for violence sake, yada yada yada. And it's like, that's obviously not true. And it's obviously, like, very different if you sit down and play a 22-hour game in one sitting, that it's going to feel like a lot of the stuff is happening all at once over and over. But if you, were to play the game over the course of an extended time, you're not rushing to get your review out the second the embargo is lifted and all of that, you'll have a different experience. So I think that, like, people that took those early reviews as gospel are missing out, because they're using a disingenuous approach to the game as their yardstick. Like, it kind of, like, it not just sucks, it just... People don't give themselves the chance to enjoy something because some guy who, chugged a bunch of coffee and sat in his chair for 18 hours straight said it wasn't fun. So a lot of people... Oh, no. Okay. A lot of people then didn't give it a fair shake, which they don't have to. No one is required to give any game a fair shake. But to say, like, it's shitty, it's a bad game, Neil Druckmann is an SJW whatever, and you know, playing it is like ruining video games or whatever the fuck is just straight up insane. It's just as wrong as it gets. But again, I don't want to say anybody that's actually played the game is wrong for their opinion. I just like I hate that with streaming culture now, with Twitch culture being a big part of the gaming experience, a lot of people are just piggybacking on the opinion of a guy who did nothing right, like who did nothing the way it was supposed to be. And that, I mean, you know, that also includes reviewers and stuff like that. Like I will straight up admit, some of the violence in the game was the most visceral gut reaction. I think I said this already, but some of the like harshest stuff I've ever experienced watching a video game, I experienced watching this one, or playing this one. But it always felt like very right for the tone of the game. Damn, did I do it too early? Okay, no. It felt like we need to see that the world has gone crazy. We need to see that these characters are losing their humanity. We don't need to see that this is happy time, fun thing, and everything is good at the end of it. This is post sanity. This is a post sanity world, and I think it's like super important to see that. I don't know, but again, I want to stop giving the vocal minority the most attention. I am so excited to see what else comes from this studio. I thought that, you know, I remember feeling very similar at the end of Last of Us 1, feeling super conflicted and like kind of like I was right there with Joel. Like I was like, hey, she's your daughter, man. She's Sarah 2.0. You got to do whatever it takes. Dang. But then the more I played it, the more I like, especially, you know, this new game, it like, why are there so many micro stutters? Shredder sucks. It ruins that weapon. Oh well. But, you know, it's like, I hope that the people who really did appreciate the game don't feel like I kind of feel right now, that they have to justify liking it. Because such a loud group of, oh shit, of idiot assholes are telling the rest of the world that it's trash because it didn't match up with their hard-on for Daddy Joel, you know? Joel was a shithead and like a war criminal, right? Do people forget that, like, his whole narrative is that he did awful things before we met him in Last of Us Part 1. Things that he feels he doesn't deserve forgiveness for, and that he's a survivor at any cost. He's not a hero, and I think that's something that a lot of people don't want to hear, because he's theirs. And that's why it's so, the game is so well done, is you have to, I mean, there was a very touching moment at the end of the game, the last conversation between Joel and Ellie, which actually preceded the events of the game and really recontextualizes the experience you went through nicely. But come on. But he's still, it doesn't mean he's a good person. All of these characters in the game, every character besides Dina, pretty much, and I guess Lev, are not good. And that's the story the game is trying to tell, is these are bad people who have done what they feel is right because their sense of right and wrong is skewed. You should not worship them. They are not heroes. They are hardened people who have done terrible things. And I think people miss that a lot. Yeah, I kind of wonder if that's ever going to be something that audiences pick up on games, is that sometimes just because you're playing as a character, it doesn't mean they're great. I think one of the things that might have fucked that up is like games like Mass Effect, where you can be a renegade and you're still getting the job done. You're still saving the universe. You're not a monster. You're just a guy who kicks ass and accomplishes ass. I'm probably gonna get that. I just wanna... Okay. All Blitz is not actually that great for this. Yes, it is. We can steal both of those. Let's go ahead and fight the boss with... Well, let's go ahead and get... No, we'll fight the boss now. I do believe I'm going to have to lose Metronome. Unless I can do this quickly. So I'm gonna drop this after this, or I'm gonna get the other thing after this fight, so I just thought I guess I'll use it. So, what do we do? Ooh. This. Ah. Wait, no. The wrong weapon. Whoa, buddy. Can't handle me not being visible? So I would say that I am of the camp that thinks of Last of Us 2 as an actual, genuine masterpiece. I felt the same way about The Last of Us 1, and I think Last of Us Part 2 has aged, has shown a lot of, like, the growth of character and writing that I think the creators of it expected the rest of the world to have, but apparently we're not ready for it. We just want like our heroes to be heroes and to ignore their atrocities because we like them. Like, straight up atrocities, like atrocious behavior. Like, a willingness to sacrifice the world for love. Sacrifice the world for missing your daughter. That's not good. And while it might have felt harsh for Joel to have let Ellie die in the last one, it is the way he should have done it. Like, I wonder if people can, like, just not remember what it was like when that game came out. It seems to me that people are thinking that it ended with a happy-go-lucky thing. Like, it was a guy making a hard decision, different than I think most people would make that decision, because it was his call, and his call was the wrong call. Even all the way until the very end, when he should have been most ready to do the right thing because of his path to get there. And Ellie, actually, she did do the right thing. It's just not... People wanted, like, a revenge story. They want John Wick to kill everybody because of his puppy, you know? They don't want... They don't want actual, like, growth and development and character arc. They want someone to be a badass for a long time and never stop, if possible. Never grow. Scattershot is just unbelievable for this run. Long path is probably the wrong way, so we'll go this way. You can tell a run feels like totally all the way safe when I get Scattershot and I'm kind of like, that's good, not like, oh my god, shit. Oh. Like, it's like, cool, wonderful, thank you. Let's continue now because I'm already freaking, you know, set as hell. I'm already set to death. As they say, this is not the fastest way, but it'll get us there. Ooh, dick, that was scary. My nose itches because of this fire. Oh. I guess one of the ricochets hit him. One of the flaky bees slapped him. I'm not entirely sure this is a better gun. I mean, it's probably not more damage per second. It's probably... I mean, it's definitely much more damage per shot. But I think we'll let it ride. I don't think there's much concern either way. Until I'm not really worried because I'm throwing away so much ammo. That's gotta occur. This has gotta be it. I bet the farm. The shades and shadows undulate. So one of the things that makes me think the other weapon is better is just that it's 100%, well, closer to 100% accurate. This one I can get the scatters to just dodge around. I'm so itchy. Oh, it's not from the smoke. I mean, the smoke is probably not helping, but I'm itchy everywhere else because of my allergies, like I said at the top of this video. Maybe it wasn't at the top, but earlier I'm... Whoa. You've got to be kidding me. Alright, we're gonna be hanging around a little bit longer than maybe we thought here. The flak bullets bounced back and screwed my whole shit up, basically. So hopefully that doesn't happen again. I just, like, I'm floored that that's what, just gonna have to skip this one, unfortunately, because those guys won't cooperate. Come on. Bullets are too big. I guess I could have killed the other guys first, but chargers would have gotten in the way. The shades and shadows undulate in my perception. Yeah, I'm gonna see what this game feels like, or what all games, I guess, feel like with one card, and then maybe just put the other one in Jackie's computer. Wow, lucky duck. I can, like, really feel the decrease in damage. I mean, scatter shot's part of it, but dang. Sometimes this gives a treasure of some sort, so we'll check it out. These walls are going to be a problem. Itchy nose. Itchy nose. I didn't see what color my metronome was, so continuing. Yeah, it's not even. Okay, it just turned into the double fat. The closer we can get it to red, the better. I mean, I know that one hit, we've lost all this progress, but who cares? Who cares? This is the freaking lifesaver ring. We're gonna do that now because we hit red, and I'd rather have this safely at red than I would have one extra blast of that. That was so stupid. Ooh, scary. Man, this gun might not be the right one, maybe. At least for phase one. They got the job done, but dang, that was a little lame. We're gonna lose the metronome for the final phase, and that is a sacrifice you're willing to take. Let me try something, actually. Well, he's setting up his first move. That was like a dumb thing I did there, but damn it, too slow. Saw it coming too. We're getting that one out of here. We're doing this our way, or the our way. Oh god, no! You sack of shit. Oh man. Man. Oh, and the other complaint that people have about the game is that they were born transphobic, and or they learned to be transphobic, and that makes games bad because you talk about something that they don't like thinking about. Because I was, what do you think it's and that shit is just like stupid. Like, I'm not. I don't get how anybody can think that a game is good or bad based on their political take. And also, I'm fucking tired of having to call people's pure hatred a political opinion. It's insane. Like, if you just despise the existence of other people, that's not a political opinion. That's a trash personality. And I hate you for it, and you suck, and you don't get to talk about whether or not something's good. Whoa, that was weird. Hey, Isaac, we've been getting a lot of Gungeon, a lot of Isaac, and I a lot of love it. Okay, so Isaac's up next. Goodbye.